And we thank the two of you for deciding to come and interact with us this evening. It is our pleasure to be able to make our acquaintance known to the both of you. We would like to extend the following question to you. How are you both doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
We are ecstatic, excited, highly pleasure to be able to be here, to be able to have these types of interactions. Every time your world is able to reach out to ours in this way, the connection between your world and ours and our societies mutually becomes strengthened. So understand that these telepathic communications are not just simply sessions whose benefits end when the session has ended, but rather these are actual co-created realities that allow for our societies to become closer and closer and closer unified together. So these are what we would consider the precursors to what many people on your world call first contact. These are the first steps.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
You are welcome. We would like to begin this transmission with one idea that we find would be of utmost benefits for all present, so we will share this idea. This idea is the following. Understand that planet Earth is rapidly shifting. It is rapidly shifting, and what is happening is largely the ending of a major cycle that began essentially in 2012, although understand it does not end with 2012. We will be a little more specific with this. The idea is that after your year of 2012, the collective agreement in terms of the energetic quality on planet Earth shifted in such a way where people began to shift vibratorily from negative to positive ever so slightly. Since the year of 2012, people have been building in that direction more and more and more, and you've probably noticed this within your own lives. If you compare the person you were pre-2012 to post, it is worlds different. And understand that this is something happening across your planet. As you get further and further away from 2012, the specifics of what you manifest becomes more and more and more instantaneous and more immediate. In other words, after the year 2012, the energetic state which you find yourself in is being more and more and more utilized by the manifestation energies of creation. And as a result, you get quicker manifestation of your energetic state. So it is highly important that during this time, you're living the life you want to live, you're acting the way you want to act, you're believing in the things you want to believe in, and you're the person you want to be. Because the energy is such that you are moving in many ways down particular paths, and the further and further and further you get down those paths, the harder it is to get off of them. So ideally, ensure that the path you're on is the one you want to be on. Ensure the vibration you're in is the one you want to be in. And you will find that as we end this cycle, this period of time that has begun at 2012 and is ending within the next 8 months, you will find that what happens after the next 8 months will be highly reflective of what you spent the last 6 years doing.
So is joy the most important? And that's how you find that you be yourself most authentically, by you having joy when you're doing what you're doing? Because we're kind of planting roots right now then?
Essentially, yes. You are planting specific seeds during this time, and once the next 8 months is over, you will see those seeds begin to germinate in a very concrete way. And it is because of that reason that your energy, specifically during this time as you're ending this span, is of the utmost importance for your own well-being and for the well-being of planet Earth.
So this includes all of our thoughts that we have?
Understand that it does not matter the types of thoughts you have. What matters is more or less your energetic response to the thoughts themselves. You'll find that thoughts are much like people. They will come your way somewhat unexpectedly. Some of them you may really like, some of them you may not like. But what matters the most, what determines your vibratory state, is how you emotionally and energetically choose to respond to that stimuli. And that is the true barometer of one's spiritual development. It's not the types of things that are happening to you, but rather how you're using the things that happen to you that determine your own progress on your own personal path of spiritual evolution.
So the thoughts would be more like knowledge, and the actual relation with the thoughts would be more like an action, because you're putting your knowledge into action.
Essentially, yes. That is one way that idea can be interpreted and utilized.
Did you have any questions, Chris?
My first question would be, you mentioned we, so how many beings are we talking to now?
Approximately 12.
12. Are you all Pleiadians?
We are, in that sense, all part of the Pleiadian family.
Is your current location within the quarantine field, or are you outside the quarantine
We
field?
are outside the quarantine field. We are still on planet.
Interesting.
We have not necessarily left our planet to be able to have these communications. Because of our energy and our own nature, we do not require to bring ourselves into close proximity to Earth to actually have these types of communications.
Okay.
We can actually do it from our home world.
Makes sense. That's great.
What is your planet?
Our planet goes by many different names depending upon the language utilized in translation. Your English translations of our planet would be the following: ocean of sound is one English interpretation of our homeworld's name and meaning.
And all of the 12 group is from this same planet?
We are from the same world, yeah.
You can continue.
Okay, so I just want to welcome you. I think it's
Welcome.
like exciting and such a wonderful experience for us to be able to talk to you all. It's truly appreciated. One of the things that you had mentioned was a time period.
Yes.
So let's say, if I could be incorrect, but let's say around October, or sometime in the next 8 months. What could we expect to transpire if you are allowed to talk about that?
You will most likely see high innovations within your own technology. Some of these innovations will be in relationship to technologies that improve the quality of lives of people who otherwise would be suffering. The idea is you will see much benevolence in what you would call the technological developments and their applications for your planet.
Okay.
That is one of the many changes that can take place.
Okay. Would any of these other changes involve humanity on Earth's awareness of dreams and the Dreamtime experience?
Absolutely. This is something that many people on your world are already tapping into. The people who have had these close encounters, shall we say, with the dream state while awake are essentially pioneers in that sense. They are getting tastes of what that is like as sort of the people exploring that type of energy. As people begin to slowly have these awakening experiences, that begins to extend to others. So initially these experiences will happen small at first to just a few, and as this energy becomes more and more and more normal on Earth, it begins to spread. It is essentially happening first to the people who are ready for it, which is not as many as the whole population. But as they begin to have these experiences, and as more people begin to have these experiences, the energy will become more of a normal frequency on Earth, and as a result, it will become essentially the overall dominant state. The idea of paradoxically being both awake and dreaming at the same time and having knowledge of both. And that is essentially using language, the best interpretation we have of the type of mentality and energetic state humanity is heading towards. And we mean that on a collective level. This is something that everybody will experience in their own way. For some people it can be very strong, for other people it can be much more mild, but the idea is people will be tapped into this dual awareness to such an extent that they will be able to have the types of occurrences they need to have in their life to awaken, and they will, just by virtue of being in that energetic state, be facilitating and accelerating the global awakening process. Because it is that state that lets you be most receptive. It is the knowledge of this reality is both real and unreal that allows for you to tap into source energy and non-physical energy and bring more of that into your physical reality experience. So when you have more and more people in that paradoxical awake sleep state at the same time, it allows for everybody's higher mind to be able to come through so much more clearly. It allows for extraterrestrial energy to come through so much more clearly, and other forms of spiritual and non-physical energy to come through so much more clearly. So as a result of this state, you will find that awakening on Earth will pick up more and more and more and more and more.
That makes sense. I think we both agree with that, and we both completely understand that.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
You are quite welcome.
Are you familiar, when I say you, I'm talking to the council,
Yes.
with who I am as a light being?
We are,
and
absolutely.
And who Ryne is? So we could ask questions about ourselves and
Absolutely.
maybe able to provide some answers?
Yes.
Okay. Here's my first question.
All right.
I have been told that I had been given a gift, a co-creation from the Pleiadians
All right.
and the Syrians
Yes.
that has to do with silver armor,
All right. Yes.
and that I would be able to somehow even access that in this 3D holographic realm that we're in.
Yes. Yes.
But I don't have an instruction manual. I don't know how to use it, and I was wondering if anyone on the council can provide
We
any
can
insights.
give you a very easy way to get started.
Okay.
Do you wear silver jewelry?
I have a silver ring.
We would encourage you utilizing this to actually first get familiar with the energy of silver.
Okay.
Silver has many what you would call alchemical and energetic roles it can play on your planet. The more you actually physically connect yourself with this energy, the more it will enable you to tune into the upgrade you have received.
Okay. So wearing more silver jewelry. There's also a type of something that just came to me that I just recently started taking. Was there's something called monoatomic gold. There's
Yes,
also
we are.
monoatomic silver.
We would also encourage the use of that. There are also other forms of silver on your world, such as colloidal silver.
Okay.
These are all different forms that you can use to connect with, again, this energetic state of silver. The idea is you don't need to do all of them. We would encourage you to follow the ones that resonate the strongest with you, because those will be the ones that are supportive of your highest good. And it is through following the things which you are loving about, which you are joyful about, which you are drawn to, that will enable you to hone in on that particular path. So if you're able to explore this new energetic technology in that way, based off of what intrigues you the most, what excites you the most, you will find your progress upon utilizing the technology will actually come quicker, because you're in that flow state of fun.
Excellent. Could you provide an example of a use I would have for this?
The idea of being able to be in high vibrational environments, some environments that might be actually chaotic for your body, and being able to actually withstand them. You could go to certain locations and not be as affected by the natural environment. So it actually allows for you to go and thrive in particular places that might actually be challenging if you were not to have that substance within you.
Okay. I was also told that there was, related to that, like an invisibility option, or
Yes.
an invisibility cloak.
Yes.
Can you speak any more of that?
Understand that when you work with certain frequencies, such as the frequency of silver, and you work with it intimately enough, what happens is there is a harmonization that takes place between your energy and the energy of the silver. As you come into contact with it, your energy will actually become tuned, so you are both playing in sync and in harmony together, you and the silver. When you are in a certain vibratory state, there are certain outcomes, there are certain possibilities of manifestation that are actually taken off the table in terms of the probability they will occur. So the idea is that by harmonizing with the vibration of this silver, what will happen is you will actually shift your life in a particular way that will only allow for very specific but still open-ended outcomes to take place. And in a sense, it will actually negate certain realities that you don't really need to go down but might creep up.
Interesting.
Does that make sense? It will assist you in remaining oriented towards what we would call your particular path.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
It makes what you are working towards all the more obvious, and the things you're not working towards all the more irrelevant.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And I want to thank anyone in the Pleiades that was responsible. Thank you very much for the gift. I hope to use it well.
You already are.
Oh, thank you.
You are welcome.
I have another question.
All right.
That has to do with something that Ryne and myself were involved with.
Mm-hmm.
We took a trip to Mexico, and we went to a location that I call the God's Eye. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if anyone on the council was familiar with that trip. And
we were there. Many of us were.
Okay, because I felt many presences. Like I felt kind of that many eyes were upon us, but at the same time, not being totally aware of what we were doing. I know we were doing something good for the land, possibly opening portals. I'm not
You
sure.
were affecting essentially the associated cosmic entity by interacting with this point on the land. Understand the cosmic entity that goes by many names on your world is able to be directly accessed through the point on Earth you were on. That cosmic entity acts as an energetic gateway. There is a particular type of energy that comes through that gateway and actually influences the Earth and influences the collective consciousness. By going to that location, and by joining all of us in the sending of what we would call healing love, in its simplest terms, to that land, you are actually altering and shifting to a different version of reality, where the type of energy coming through that cosmic entity is actually more supportive of the awakening process for planet Earth. So in many ways, you were utilizing that location as a way to reorient your experience of reality in such a way where you're receiving even more cosmic support for your fellow planet and humanity to more quickly awaken.
That's awesome.
You are welcome.
Can you give a name to this cosmic entity so that it could be more
It is
specific?
the associated star system. It is the associated, how shall we put it? It is what you have called the God Nebula.
Ah, okay.
That is the entity we are referring to.
Interesting. Okay. Because I always felt that to be true, because when I would start to see visions, and what directed me there was seeing the Helix Nebula or the God Nebula in my visions in crystal clear, high definition quality. So that actually was the start of what was guiding me there.
And it was because of that reason, again, that the energetic work performed there was of the utmost importance.
Excellent. And there were 3 mares, 3 horses that greeted us. Was there anything special about those horses?
These horses, again, were representing the positive qualities that you were, again, bringing into your reality through the work you had done there. The idea is the horse is both wild, free, but works together as a familial unit, unrestrained, going wherever they want to go, taking care and loving their own. In many ways, this is reflective of where mankind is headed in that respect. So we look at them as, in our interpretation, synchronistic reflections of the type of energetic changes that were being created in that space.
Okay. Okay. And I also had felt that from my past, I had been there before. Because I had seen myself with visions falling into a well, something called the Eye of Ra or Eye of God amulet. And is there anything about that you can speak of?
We would refer to this amulet that you are referring to as a non-physical energetic technology. This technology, when it is utilized, can allow for people to be perpetual generators of the exact type of energy that was brought to that location when you went there presently. So in other words, what you saw in your dream, this particular amulet, its energetic qualities is the quality that you brought in when you went to that location.
Okay.
So it's seriously like the God's Eye amulet, because the amulet has a connection to the God's Eye nebula.
Yes.
So you're bringing around that energy of that nebula when you have that around you?
Essentially, yes, it allows for you to perpetually generate that energy.
Wow.
Is that something that I'm doing now, or I can continue to do?
As soon as you remember the way you felt when you were actually there, you're tapping into that exact same type of energy. You might not feel the exact same way, but just by remembering it, you're shifting your awareness back into that field.
Interesting.
The idea of that amulet in your dream falling down the well, and then you traveling to that well in actual, what you would call waking life, is symbolic of you activating that energy within yourself. In many ways, it is, again, sort of the first steps of you utilizing the spiritual technology you already possess. That is what we consider to be the meaning behind you dropping that into the well. You dropping yourself into the well.
Okay.
The idea is that it was drawing you there for your ability to access that type of energy.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense. That does make sense. Thank you for that information. It fills some holes. Some puzzle pieces are now completed for me, so that's good. So if you can tap into my energy, do you? If I ask you a question, like one of the questions has to do with my past as a figure known as Alexander the Great.
All right.
Is that something that you can see?
We can pry into it, yes. Would you like specifics in that sense?
Well, I've always wanted to know what the truth of Alexander the Great was, what he was really trying to accomplish, because I don't think history speaks of what the truth was. He wasn't just conquering peoples and lands. I think he was trying to do more than that.
Absolutely. The idea was, in many ways, although he was using what you would call war as his means, it was essentially unification. It was essentially a quest driven by unification, although he went about it in a particular way that he felt was appropriate and he felt was what he needed to do to show people his power so he could be taken seriously in that endeavor.
Okay.
It is not something that is inherently negative, although it is part of a paradigm that is essentially leaving your world, and that is the need to conquer to show your power.
Okay. 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 So, I see myself as all of these historical figures, all of these military leaders and so forth, and I now see myself as someone that has putting the warlike things behind me and becoming more of a teacher, becoming more to enlighten people about humanity and this dream that we're in. Is that something that you can see as a possible future for me as well?
We see it as a strong probability, given that it is something you're avidly interested in and are pursuing on a few different levels. So because of that, we can guarantee that it is part of your future.
Okay.
We can guarantee it, however, because you're actively creating it.
Yes.
If you were not, we would refer to it as a probability.
Interesting. Okay. Good. Because I feel like I'm behind. Like I feel like there's a quickening of events and I really need to catch up with my spirituality.
Understand, everything comes at the right time. Everything you have right now is literally all you need right now.
Okay.
More will come when more is relevant for you.
Okay. Because part of that too actually has to do with my current vision with my eyes. Like it seems like my third eye has opened, but my normal vision has become blurry. And I'm hoping that at some point too, perhaps I could get full use of my third eye so that I could have my full 360-degree vision.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there any advice from the council, anything that could help with my progress going forward?
We would, in many ways, encourage the idea of utilizing natural sources of light as a means to actually not only create a healing effect within the physical eyes, but also a strong energetic effect within what you call the third eye.
So sunlight.
Sunlight is one, infrared light is another, red light is another. There are different types of light technologies in your world that can actually benefit not only the physical eyes, but begin to have strong energetic effects on your body.
Okay.
Understand that as you begin to heal in many ways the physical eyes, what will happen is it can actually harmonize the pineal gland, it can harmonize the chakra of the third eye in such a way that the pineal gland, the physical eyes, and the other glands, such as the pituitary gland, the hypothalamus, and many more, it harmonizes this part of your brain and sense organs in such a way that it allows for the pineal gland chakra, the third eye, to begin to open in a much more balanced and natural way.
Okay. All right, and it's just difficult now in the winter to get outside and with the seasons, but I definitely want to spend more time in the sunlight, and I'll look into things related to infrared as well. I haven't done that yet. So.
Yeah, you have.
I have? Oh.
With infrared?
Oh, as far as like the meditation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been doing a meditation that involves basically going through the different chakras, but essentially converting them all to red, so that even my voice becomes red, and my whole body is red, and my third eye emanates red. So to be more connected to Earth Mother and the infrared. So I am actually practicing that. Not using actual infrared light, but using a meditation.
We understand. The infrared light is something that could be useful in this pursuit as well.
Okay. Ryne, do you have any questions for the council?
Has anyone here had a life on Earth, an incarnation on Earth?
You're speaking to a person who is playing out that theme right now in that sense. The channel is what we would consider to be a past life incarnation of one of our members in that way.
One of the members of the council.
Absolutely. So in a sense, this communication is actually communication not only from our reality to yours, but also from his present life to his future life in that sense.
Huh.
Wow. I see.
It is one of the reasons many of these extraterrestrial societies are so generous to help out planet Earth, because many of them are actually having incarnations simultaneously on the planet. So they're actually helping the planet out through helping humanity out. They're rapidly benefiting themselves as well. It's in that sense, for many of these extraterrestrial societies, what you would call a positive feedback loop.
That must be really like refreshing for your soul, having that as your purpose too.
Love it.
I feel I have a lot of Arcturian contracts and connections with Arcturian energy, and I kind of did a little ceremony before coming here to just have the collectives come in the fifth world of peace and in union and communion, to sit here as well.
And we are grateful for the invitations you have sent.
Thank you. So are you always existing around physical people? Do you walk with physical people through their connections with you?
Not in that way. Understand, the term the quarantine zone is quite a literal term.
I see.
There is actually what we would call a contract that prohibits us from doing such a thing until a specific point. Until a specific point, we are unable to do that. Once humanity is at an energetic state where it can actually handle our energy on planet, we are unable to actually land, so to say. and that is for your own benefit. Too much of our energy could induce what you would call psychotic states. The idea is the contrast between our energy and yours would essentially cause you in many ways to become absorbed into us. The energies are so different and ours is so much stronger in that way that your consciousness would just gravitate to us like a smaller planet and a larger one. So as you grow in vibration, the more on your own, the more grounded you can become in a way where when we do interact in these face-to-face manners, there is none of that pooling.
So what is the message you give to all of us here in the quarantine coming to the point where, that point you speak about?
Essentially, the advice we had given earlier, and if we were to put it in its most basic of terms, it is do what you love to do as much as possible. That means
cool.
in every moment, say the thing you love to say the most. Pick the most joyful, exciting, peaceful option. Pick the things that to you truly represent what you want in life as much as you can in whatever you're doing in every single moment. Because if you can do that, it does not matter what experience life hands you. Because you will always be able to use it in a positive way. You will always have the energetic ability to say, okay, I am dealing with a situation that is tough and challenging. What is the most exciting way I can navigate it? And it will give you the quickest route through it. It will also be the route that can generate the most amount of pleasure. And it will also be the route that will help to propel you into an even more positive situation once the challenging one has subsided. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when you generate these positive states, literally no matter what you're doing, literally no matter what you're experiencing, and when you're acting in such a way that reflects that positivity, you are always lining yourself up with what you would call your highest good or destiny in that sense. And no matter what happens, you can't get thrown off it as long as you're doing that. And that is because you are playing the part of the version of you that goes down that path. And if you do that, you will never get off it. You will ride it and ride it and ride it and ride it from this dimension of physical reality into the other ones.
Thank you. That's one of the most beautiful answers that you could give. Wow. Thank you.
We are happy you enjoyed it. You are welcome, and we love to share.
And is our sun, which the Earth revolves around, is it following the Pleiadian 7 sisters?
It is influenced by them, yes. Part of its rotation does in many ways relate to the rotations happening on our world and the interactions that the movement of our stars have with one another. So in many ways, they are connected. They are part of the same song. As our stars begin to move and change, so does yours. And understand, it is a sequence of cosmic entities. These different stars, they are all actually connected, just like much of the trees on your world are actually connected. So not one star acts in isolation. All of the stars are connected and share a very strong awareness. So your sun actually acts as an energetic gateway for much of our energy to come through. Because we live, our world is surrounded by these 7 sister stars, as they are called by many. And because your sun is in many ways connected to our stars, the influence of our energy is able to beam daily, all the time, onto Earth. And that is why we feel especially connected to humanity, because of this connection our sun has to yours.
So that leads back right into doing work with the sun. Right?
Absolutely. The more you can work with your sun, in whatever way, shape, or form represents a deep connection to you, the more connected you are not only to the awakening process, but also to the dynamic energies of our world and other extraterrestrial societies. So it can help you not only be on the page with your awakening, but it can actually help you to get on a similar page as our societies.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have this is going back to being a personal question for myself.
All right.
I seem to have a special type of relationship with dragons.
All right, yes.
is there, and I have been told by people they've referred to me as a dragon lord, for example, with myself not being really clear what that actually means. So I was wondering if there's anything, enlightenment you can share as far as my relationship with dragons.
We will speak first about the idea of a dragon in terms of how we see it, how people in your world see it, and then we will give you slight cues to help you put those pieces together for yourself.
Okay.
But we'll also give you a definitive answer in that sense, in terms of what we consider our perspective. Understand the meaning you take away from it is entirely up to you. Dragons typically in our society are looked at as entities that have unlimited potential. They literally can go where they want, do where they want, and there is no force in creation that can actually stop them. With that being said, dragons also require maintenance to do what they do. They must sleep. They must eat. However, as long as the dragon's needs are met, there is nothing it cannot accomplish. There is nothing it cannot do that it is designed to do within the time frame of its existence. And that is how we look at the idea of the dragon. A being who, whenever the needs of the being are met, it can do anything it needs to do. Nothing stopping it. Because what could? It's a dragon. The idea, of course, in your human terminology of dragons, depending on the culture, in the East, the dragon is typically looked at as the embodiment of chi, the embodiment of non-physical energy, in the sense that it is in the air, in the sense that it is constantly moving around, in the sense that it can travel and go to wherever it wants to go. And that is one earthly interpretation of the dragon, the idea of non-physical energy and its dynamic, how it actually operates. That is one idea, what is considered a more Eastern idea. When you get more to the West, the dragon is typically looked at as what you would call the ultimate obstacle. It is the ultimate challenge in many ways. And the hero must conquer the dragon to get the treasure or to get the princess or so on or so forth. So the idea is the dragon in your same Earth also represents the idea of the ultimate challenge which must be overcome. And you can see the paradox here, because this creature represents both the ability to do anything, and it also represents the ultimate challenge. Both are true for the dragon in that sense.
So the ultimate challenge would be to be able to overcome anything.
Essentially, yes.
Unlimited point of view to have. Whenever you're looking at any point of view, have an unlimited point of view?
Every time. As soon as limitation is enacted, your reality conforms to the box you make. As soon as it becomes unlimited, there is no box. And you, once again, are limitless like the dragon, able to do whatever you need to do when you need to do it. We do encourage the idea of making sure the needs are met. Understanding that you are, in many ways, physical beings as you are energetic beings. Understanding that your physical needs must be met. Your human needs must be met. Understand there are only so many actual needs. The rest typically are wants or desires. As long as you are getting what you would call sleep, hydration, clean air, human interaction, social relationships, creative outlets, a proper diet, you will find you will have everything you need. As long as these things that are needed to sustain the human body, as long as they are met, your experience in the human realm can always be unlimited. But understand, these needs are personal, because there are people on your world who do not need a lot of food. There are people on your world who do not need a lot of sleep. So it is important to find out what you actually need to thrive and to survive at your best. And you will find the more that that is actually nourished, the more unlimited your experience can become.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. We understand you wanted to know how the dragon energy relates to you specifically.
Right.
We did not give that answer right away because we wanted you to have a little moment to consider what had been said.
Mm-hmm.
We interpret this energy personally for you in such a way. Understand that it is just our interpretation. Yours is equally valid and can always be selected if you find you enjoy it more. However, when we take a look into your energetic field and we compare it to these archetypal ideas of the dragon, we find two things. One of the first things is your life has been built in a particular way, in a particular direction for a very long period of time. The idea is that now, during this awakening process, there is the idea of balancing both worlds, of harmonizing both worlds, between which you have done for so long and which you are now branching out to begin to do. And the idea is that that is also a bit of a paradox in many ways. The idea of operating as one way for a while and then deciding I'm going to branch out and do something different, while still maintaining both of them. In many ways, we see that as what we would call, in the dragon analogy, the ultimate challenge. The ability to balance both worlds. The ability to be yourself in both worlds. 100% yourself as fully as possible. The other aspect to this is, of course, the idea that you are tapping in rapidly to what is called your unlimited true nature. This also relates to the dragon energy in that sense.
Okay.
These are typically the main things that we do pick up on in relationship to you and the idea of the dragon.
Okay. I can appreciate what you said. It gives me a different viewpoint than what I was considering before, but nonetheless still a valid one.
Oh.
Yeah, so I definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
You are welcome.
I do have another question that you might be able to shed some light on.
All right.
I have been told that this DNA skin suit that I'm in is one that is of the, let's say, an original human DNA skin suit that was preserved in hollow earth. And I'm wondering if that is true. Like, I don't understand the purpose of why I would have chosen an original DNA skin suit.
There are particular reasons. Understand that the older human bodies, so to say, some of the more original ones, have what you would call Anunnaki genetics highly expressed. And with that becomes a human being who is rapidly tapped into that level of consciousness. Anunnaki, in many ways, are effective leaders, effective organizers, strategizers, people with willpower that are able to essentially come up with a plan and execute it. And that was one of the core energetic abilities and strong qualities that which you would call the original human beings had, as you understand them as human beings.
Right.
So you can see, based on that description, why that type of body would be of use.
Yes. Okay, I could see that. I'm wondering too if I'm just reaching here, but I'm wondering, related to my mother and how those genetics could have been inserted into her, were the Pleiadians involved at all with that?
Absolutely. The Pleiadians were involved in the creation of the original human. There were about 13 other extraterrestrial races that went into this creative process, in actually sharing their genetic information with the Anunnaki, so the human being could actually take form and be created.
Okay.
So there are many of these genes active within all of you. The idea is that some people have certain extraterrestrial genes more active than others, as some people are more connected with, as we have spoken, Anunnaki, some Pleiadians, some Arcturian, and the idea is the connection many of you feel to some of these extraterrestrial societies is in many ways physically expressed as those genes associated with our societies being turned on as a result of the awakening process.
Okay. That's great. That makes, again, more information that I just did not have before. So I appreciate that.
Of course.
Can you see anything as far as my Lyran past?
We will take a moment to observe what we are allowed to observe in this respect. The image of yourself that you had in your dream falling down this well is actually a connection to that particular lifetime you are asking about. We are detecting the energy of poetry, art, creative expression surrounding this version of yourself that existed during this time. We are also sensing the energies of not only what you would call the artistic personality type, but the artistic type who is also very in tune with what is happening up there. And a direct connection between those cosmic influences, the awareness of those cosmic forces, and the art, and the creative process. In many ways, you're playing out a similar theme now, and that is one of the reasons you actually had that dream. To tap into a version of yourself that was doing, in many ways, what you are now learning to do.
Okay, that's good, because I always felt that in the back of my mind. I always felt that. Do you know the name of the person that I went by when I fell into that well, or had that vision?
One moment. We, at this point, would like for that to be something you and he discover together.
Okay.
Because just as you are learning about him, he is also learning about you. We would encourage the utilization of not only the silver, because it will also help. We would also encourage the utilization of particular crystals that are associated with his time period. You could even go after crystals that resemble the one you saw as the amulet in your dream. Any sort of tool that can help for you to facilitate that connection and make it stronger will actually be enough for you to be able to begin to tap into him.
Are there any crystals you can speak of?
Garnet.
Garnet.
Garnet in particular, you might find useful.
Okay. Related to this, I wanted to know if you knew anything about a Lyran crystal ship that had remained hidden on this planet, that I believe I know the location, and I feel like I'm being called to visit it or access the crew, which I believe bonds itself to the ship. It's been there many millions of years, and I wanted to know if the council knew about this ship or can shed any light about its possible future use and importance in my life.
It will take some time for the accessing of this technology. It is not inevitable, and it is likely something you will see in your lifetime. Understand the resources needed to actually extract it at this point in time on Earth would be dramatically expensive. The idea is this ship is partially buried, but that's not the only catch. The idea is that where it is buried, it actually requires a particular type of energetic frequency to even be accessed. So the idea is that it must, one, be excavated, and two, the people excavating must actually be in the right vibrational state to even come into contact with it. Does this make sense so far?
It does, because I've heard that the lizards are trying to get access to it, but I don't think they'll be able to.
Understand that not all of these lizards are necessarily negative in their influence. Understand many beings are actually interacting with the ship already without having to even move it because it is still functional.
Okay.
The ship does not actually turn off. It is still actively going. It is still actually functioning. So many beings are able to actually psychically connect with it and actually teleport in and out of the ship itself. So there's not necessarily a race to it, but different beings are utilizing the technology for various reasons, for various experimentations, and for various effects on the world. Human beings actually tap into it as well from time to time, although for many of them it can be accidental. You can, however, learn to directly access this ship. You can also learn to directly and psychically download some of the information. And if at a point in time you feel you wish to connect more deeply with it as a physical experience, you can actually use these psychic connections with the ship to guide you into that reality if it is truly representative of your life path and excitement.
Okay. Did I arrive on this planet via that ship?
Understand, you did arrive through the planet, largely through the womb, as all humans do. Understand, souls do have associations and pass through certain gateways that are associated with different locations in physical reality. So some people's birth into this world has strong associations with the different planets, different star systems. Yours is connected in many ways to this ship, although you are not alone in this. It is a common thing, and it is one of the reasons you're actually drawn to the ship, in the sense that it actually represents more of yourself. It represents a deeper connection to what you would call your oversoul, your higher mind, the deeper non-physical aspects to your being.
Okay.
And that is one of the reasons that some of these connections to the ship can be positive tools to help you actually learn more about yourself. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And for some reason, this ship has become somewhat of an obsession to me. So I hope in the future things develop so that I can at least psychically download some of that information.
You will find you should be able to download it with, again, consistent effort and through, again, walking your life path. Because as you walk your life path, all information necessary for you to walk that path will always be provided without fault.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Ryne, do you have any questions?
Yeah. That's a personal question.
All right.
If you'd like to read my energies. I saw that I have a bladder stone in my stomach. I'm just wondering of its representation or why it's there.
It may be there as a wake-up call to pay more close attention to the physical body. It may be there as a reason for you to take a look at perhaps your relationship with your physical body and its needs. It also, we would say, especially is there as a means of showing you your ability to overcome anything. That is typically what many of the medical challenges that are presented to you actually are challenges about. The theme behind many of them is the ability to overcome anything no matter what. Because nothing can actually conquer you because you are literally light. You are a non-physical, indestructible spirit in that way. And that is one of the foundational lessons behind physical ailments. To be able to say, even though this is happening, even though I might be in pain, even though I might be suffering, there is a solution to this. I also, even if I physically die, I am not defeated because I do not actually die. And these are the types of lessons and some of the overall themes being played out behind many of the physical ailments on your world. And that is because people are becoming more and more aware of the truths that these particular lessons are actually pointing to. So in many ways, what we are announcing here is a particular theme that we feel you are going through.
Yeah, that means a lot. Thank you.
You are welcome.
It's kind of like everything, every ailment that you see or everything that comes kind of has a dragon question with it, saying, are you going to be able to overcome this, that thing that you can't overcome?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is one of the reasons many people on your world are so drawn to the dragon archetype. They associate it with that ability to be unstoppable, to be fierce, and to always come out on the other side. And conversely, because it does relate to the idea of being able to conquer any challenge, to be able to slay the dragon, to get to what you're after.
Do you have any questions?
I know we're approaching an hour, so we're getting like maybe 5 minutes away from that.
Okay. Are you able to see if either of us here in this room, or either me or Chris, has connections with the Terracotta warriors?
Absolutely. We would say Chris does share a connection in that way, especially.
Will the Terracotta possibly rise again?
Not in the way many people are imagining. But the idea behind them is something rising again. And it is representative again of that unification for a particular, very specific end goal.
Can you speak of the purpose of the Terracotta?
It was done in a particular way to honor the man who decided that the army would be an accurate representation of his power while he was alive. Although it is not the only reason this was done, it was also done as a means of beauty to him, as he saw it as a particular symbol that represented unity within his domain. It represented everyone working together in lieu of one common goal, and to him he saw this as an actual beautiful thing. So he wanted a way to be able to actually impart this on the world, showing that people could come together. He also, again, did have that idea of this is something that shows my power, by being able to create such a magnificent piece of art. I can have this done.
Because I feel connected, is it okay if I speak that man's name?
It
I
is.
believe it is. I believe it was the man that goes by the name Genghis Khan.
We feel that through exploration into some of these historical figures would open more doors for you in relationship to the connections you have with many of these figures.
So I'm not totally crazy when I associate myself or see myself with Napoleon or Genghis Khan or Alexander the Great or all of these.
There are certain things being played out here. Understand, they also in many ways shared similar biological suits, so to say.
Okay.
The version of the human body they had is very similar to the one you have. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
And it's one of the reasons you feel the connection. It is that idea of being able to have that willpower, that determination, and that drive that this type of body can assist you in. So it's a common theme you have between most of them.
Interesting.
There are also some incarnation aspects as well, but we will leave that to you to discover.
Okay. I can appreciate that. You can't tell me everything, then the game wouldn't be any fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to make life a fun adventure.
Essentially. And understand, it already is.
True.
The more you can let go and the more you can see, the more you realize you are being pushed along on a particular path for reasons unknown. But for whatever reason, life seems to prompt you further and further into these directions. No matter how much you resist and say, I'm not leaving, I'm staying right here. Life says, but what about this? What about that? And you say, that's a good idea. That's actually worth exploring. Let's do it. So the more you pay attention, the more you actually are here in your life, in the vibrational state of adventure and joy, the more and more and more ease you will have running down that road.
And I'm definitely following all synchronicities. I'm not letting things go by. What I used to think were coincidences, I now realize are not. They're actually synchronicities and things that I'm following through that have basically led me to this point. So I'm open. I'm very open and excited for what the future could hold and how I could help this planet. I feel like I'm a guardian. I feel like I'm someone that's here to help the Earth Mother. And like even the things that we did in Mexico, like that was just pure joy. That was an adventure. It was trials at certain points. but overall, looking back on it, it was one of the most amazing, beautiful things in my life that I'll always be appreciative of.
And we thank you for sharing that with us. We find it to be a beautiful experience as well, and we were honored to be able to be active participants within it.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Very cool. Very cool.
How does do you want to check in with how does Tyler feel, do you think?
If you wish to continue the session for a bit more time, it is something that would be considered all right and appropriate for him and his body.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just a little longer. Already, I feel I'm glad we're recording this.
Just
'cause I can
feeling y'all's
listen to
energy
it
is
again and
really
it'll
nice.
Yeah.
Also, just feeling
We
your
are
energy.
thankful for yours.
Oh, thank you.
Can you tell us anything more about the council? I find it's intriguing, but what is your purpose?
Our purpose primarily is what is deemed the idea of pioneers, the idea of being able to be the ones who are making the contact with the world. It is a voluntary role that many people in our society take. We have 2 core members that you would call the organizing players within our council. The rest literally come and go. We typically have 12 each time, as we find it to be a very balancing number, as it essentially reduces to the number 3, which in our society represents the interactions between physical brains, higher minds, and physical minds. This is something that all physical beings that have sentient self-awareness and are humanoid in nature, which we at one point were, essentially go through. The idea of having a biological body that is able to perceive and is dramatically connected and influenced by the non-physical aspects of itself. So to us, the number 12 taps in to that idea of being able to bring in the higher mind into the physical reality. And it is why we use 12 of us when we actually interact with you, because that's a particular energetic state we are actually working to instill on Earth. The idea of being connected through both your higher mind, physical brain, all working together to allow for total integration of the human being. And that is actually why our council is together. It's not only to reach out, it's not only for us to be able to make our presence known, although we do find that valuable, it is mainly to leave a particular imprint on the world. Because when we have these interactions, not only are we pulling our societies closer together, but what we're also doing here is we are enabling you to experience the energetic state we are in. And as you experience that, you are actually broadcasting that in real time throughout the human collective consciousness. So in many ways, if you were to imagine the human consciousness as a brain, the part of the brain this is happening in is lighting up more than the rest. It's pulsating more and more and more. So as we are actually having these interactions, you are acting as essentially amplifiers for this particular energy, and it begins to spread. Typically, the longer these sessions go on, the more and more and more this energy begins to spread and then normalize. Because at first it is a contrast. Your bodies are not used to the energy. But once it is used to it, what ends up happening is it's able to then go out to people and it becomes more and more normal. Similar to the waking up process we were discussing earlier. At first it can be jarring, but once people get tastes of it, it becomes normal. So what we're doing here is not only instilling a particular energy, but we are also helping to create an environment where that energetic state is normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That is the main reason behind our council and why we use 12. We also do vary our members because all of you are entirely different. We don't want to have the same people all the time because we have experts in a variety of different topics that live on our world. Many of whom are actually historians and have studied the history of Earth. And in our reality, because we're in the future, your awakening process has actually happened. So we're actually giving you the historical tips on how you actually did it to help you do it. So that is one of the reasons we are always alternating. Different people are qualified for different things. Some of those historians are here now.
Thank you. We appreciate y'all's energy and everything. And you could totally feel it in the room that after time went by, it kind of was like, let's say this was a source of energy of y'all, and it just came, and then after a while, the waves kind of just spread into the whole room. So the energy of this room just feels different too.
Absolutely. The idea is this room, for an extended period of time after the session, can be used as a gateway to deeply connect with our society. So any types of exercises that take place within this location will have a little more leverage, will have a stronger connection to our world. So understand this is energy that you actually can keep with you. You can inhalate it, you can bring it in whatever way, shape, or form you wish to use it. It will actually remain for a period of time.
And this energy came because y'all chose to connect and we actually chose to connect. So it's co-creation, right?
Absolutely. It is a blend of both Pleiadian and human energy. So it is entirely unique in that respect, and to us incredibly special and valuable.
Yes.
How would you feel, because we're recording this, how would you feel if we shared not the whole thing, but even excerpts with
You
others?
have permission from us to be able to share it. We actually enjoy it.
Okay.
Nice.
We get a kick out of it. We encourage it.
Okay.
We will share one other tip because we feel it would be of the utmost importance in terms of being able to, if you find this energetic state that represents the bridge between our world and yours to be preferable, through the utilization of quartz technologies, through the utilization of quartz crystals, you can actually allow for the energy being generated from this interaction to begin to condense into that piece of natural material. And as a result, you can essentially absorb the energy from this communication into a specific device that can then be used in whatever way, shape, or form you find appropriate. So if you find this energetic state for you is one you enjoy, understand it's actually one you can take advantage of.
So I have a quartz crystal skull on my desk on the other side. Is that absorbing the energy?
It is.
Okay.
It is. If you allow for the quartz crystal to stay in this room, particularly where the channel was actually sitting, it will allow for a deeper collection of this energy we are co-creating to occur. You can leave this stone there for a period of 2 hours. You will find that will be enough time for it to actually absorb the energy. From there, as long as you give that crystal attention, as long as you give that crystal your energy, that frequency will not be lost, as your body will act as an amplifier for the energy it's absorbed, so it will never dissipate.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
So we wish to share that because we understand both of you have these intense connections with other extraterrestrial races. And through just interacting with our energy in that way, it allows for you to dive deeper into them. And we feel that is something that is relevant for both of you at this point in time. And we are excited to be offering this type of contract with you. This is something that we have not done before in this direct of a way. And this is, again, a symptom, a side effect of the quickening of contact between what you call star people and your societies. So understand, this is a special occasion.
Excellent.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Are there others, like many others, observing us right now?
There are, especially, again, the Arcturians, due to you.
Yeah, Ryne.
We know.
Yes.
But we are thankful for you, and we are thankful for your invitation to them in particular. Understand, the more you call in these guides, even if you cannot feel them, the more you call them in, they respond. They're all looking. The more aware of them you are, the more you're connecting this reality to them, and it goes from being a co-creation just between our society and yours, but it becomes a multifaceted co-creation through multiple societies that have been brought in and invited. Mm-hmm. So, in our eyes, the more the merrier.
I have a question related to Ryne.
All right.
Would you, Ryne, in the future, or has been doing like a show, and I'm wondering if you would be ever interested in being possibly interviewed, does that go beyond the scope of what you would do, or is that...
We would allow for an interview. We would find that to be both exciting and welcome.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Yeah, me too. I'm honored.
Yeah, so we'll contact Tyler about that in the future, but that would be an amazing interview. I would love to watch that.
And we would love to volunteer ourselves for it.
Excellent.
Thank you. Awesome.
Well, that concludes my questions, unless you have any more.
No, I have to use the restroom now.
We thank the two of you for coming. It was our pleasure to be able to get to know both of you a little more deeply. We thank you for voicing your experiences, your lives with us, because it matters to us, and we are always excited to hear about it and to learn more about our intergalactic family.
Thank you so much. Y'all, we appreciate your all of y'all's I am presence, individually and collective too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We did.
Good night to all of you, and pleasant dreams.
Good night. I'm gonna go take a pee.
Okay.
Yeah, that was great, man.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, that was really, really good.
Yeah, I got a lot of good information from that. Like, wow. I would have been like searching and like just some of the answers were not what I expected, but they were still valid. They were still like, I could understand why those answers were given in a way, because it opened up me to another point of view, which I wasn't thinking of. And some are really good and specific.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was cool. It's funny, a lot of it I don't remember, which is very different for me. I'm like trying to go back, and I remember some of the topics that were asked, but I'm like, whoa, I don't remember any of their fucking answers.
Yeah.
I remember like a little bit, but kind of the stuff I hear that they repeat as general themes for each person, like the whole following your path thing, they say it to fucking everybody, because it's such an important core message.
Right.
But your specifics, man, they're like, I literally don't have a memory of them.
Okay.
Which is a good sign. I look at that as a very positive sign, because I feel like it means like that was like, boom, like supposed to be right for you, man.
Yeah, and the Council of 12, like they were, like they explained who you were on the council.
Right, yeah.
So you're an incarnation of one of them on the council.
I should really connect with that. I'm surprised I haven't.
Is that the first you've heard about that?
I've heard that I'm like connected to them, but for some like through that incarnation thing. But for some reason, I was always like, oh, okay. Like it didn't for some reason it didn't like impact me like it was significant. But for whatever reason, right now it feels like that door is being opened.
Yeah.
And it truly does feel like these realities are starting to merge more, because this is more. I've seen more from them in that interaction than like I have previously, even within like the last month. Like that was very. Like they were very like, you guys can do this and we think it's great. Like it was really cool. Really cool.
I really appreciate you, man.
Yo, absolutely, man. I appreciate you too, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was like I was impressed with the answers. I was